favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
Let's get back to the action. This is the Heel to the Face podcast on Sports War Radio.
Time for the three questions of the week here on the Heel to the Face podcast. And we are going to start, as always, with our Twitter question of the week. Now, the Twitter question of the week, let me currently bring up the results of this week's Twitter question. We got a few votes, and it was quite an interesting question. Obviously, had a lot to do with Baron Corbin's cash-in on Tuesday night on SmackDown. So the question was, no one has ever held the Money in the Bank briefcase for 365 days or more. Probably one of the closest one was Edge when he cashed it in about a month and a half prior to when WrestleMania took place, where he got it the year before. So the question that goes off of that, will anyone ever? 62% of the votes said no. 38% said yes, somebody will hold it for 365 days or more. They don't have the Money in the Bank briefcase match anymore at WrestleMania, so it would have to be from essentially July to July, and if it was 365 days or more, it has to be somebody who got it last July, maybe cashes it in at SummerSlam the following year. And, you know, I'm kind of leaning on the no myself, and part of the reason why is because for them to do that, and for these Money in the Bank pay-per-views to still exist, you're essentially then having two Money in the Bank holders, because you're going to have the one who won it, let's say, here in 2017. If Baron Corbin held it 365 days, that means he's going to hold it till next year's Money in the Bank. So if he held it, let's say, one day after next year's Money in the Bank, you're going to have the new Money in the Bank holder who wins it in 2018, and then still Baron Corbin, which would have two current holders of Money in the Bank. And that just doesn't seem to make much sense.
It doesn't make sense. I honestly, I don't ever see this happening, because here's the thing. It defeats the point of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So it's like, okay, Baron Corbin had the title still, and then we came up with the next Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and he still has the briefcase. So it really, I think it takes away the luster of that and other Money in the Bank winner, because it's like, you're not the only Money in the Bank, briefcase holder. I think, you have to keep it at that 1 year mark. I mean, it's cool because you have so many opportunities to, cash it in. Over a year. Why is that? I don't think that. I think that's plenty of time. 365 days. I mean, what do you think, Paul?
I would disagree with you, Brandon. I would say that instead of lacking its luster, I think that would bring new intrigue. It would bring an entire new strategy and dynamic. First off, you would have to get rid of the 1 year label. We would have to suspend our disbelief, and for WWE, when they start marketing the Money in the Bank, they would just say, hey, you get a contract anywhere, anytime, any place. You don't have to say in the next 12 months. So we start, first off, by getting rid of that. Then if you get, like, two people that have it, then you could have one person cash it in, then another person cash it in on that person. Or you would have, I think you could have funny and cool situations, like, let's say Jinder Mahal gets knocked out for some reason. He's our champion in our hypothetical scenario. We hear music play, one person runs out, then all of a sudden we hear music play and someone else runs out, and then there's this awkward, like, what the hell? Like, you go ahead and cash it in. No, you cash it in. I think that could be awesome. I think it would be so cool to have that. Again, it's to what Jarod said, and I don't know. I referenced Jarod like I referenced an encyclopedia on my paper in middle school. But it's like what Jarod said with that, that unpredictability. Who knows what can happen? That shakes the landscape of the WWE, and I think that would only increase it twofold by quite literally having two and multiple Money in the Bank winners.
Depending on the time of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, it could still be the 365-day limit, for the fact that sometimes Money in the Bank has been at the end of June, sometimes it's been in the middle of July, and again, the dates matching up. So, I mean, essentially the person would have to be cashing it in very close to the time that a new person would be getting that Money in the Bank briefcase, obviously within a few days or a few weeks.
Well, see, Jarod, that's my point. I want to get rid of that because for me, because of course they would talk about it, or they would say like, oh wow, there's only a week left for what's his name to cash in his Money in the Bank, or at the very least, we would have done our research and we would know. They're like, wow, it's almost been a year. I wouldn't have even want to think about that because that eliminates some of that unpredictability factor. If we just eliminated the whole year thing, we wouldn't even be talking about it. It would hopefully just be a surprise that would just bash us over the head that we didn't see coming.
I think holding the belt for a long time, too, could do something more organically than they've done with Jinder Mahal in the sense of building somebody up. And obviously with Jinder Mahal, they just gave him the belt, and that's kind of how you made Jinder Mahal from nothing to somebody. But the Money in the Bank can kind of more organically create that new Jinder Mahal or that new future big superstar that comes out of nowhere, maybe, turn Heath Slater into the next Jinder Mahal without just making him the champion, but, giving him the Money in the Bank briefcase and then letting him just month after month building Baron Corbin up. Obviously he didn't have it for much too long. It was less than a month, but it was about a month and a half.
I think too much is not a good thing in this situation. That's just me. I think it would take the luster away. I don't think having, two guys come out where Jinder Mahal is completely out cold and they're kind of looking at each other like, "Who? I'm going to cash in." No, you should cash in. I'm not for that. I think it's like it would be like having, it's enough where you have the women's side of it and you have the men's side of it. That's as far as it should go, and it should. I think it's better to have it at 365, but I don't think you actually hold it for 365. I think it's somewhere maybe 9 months down the line. Yes, the intrigue is good for 365. And if you are in that situation where Paul was saying, oh, he's got 3 weeks left until, he's got to cash in or he loses it. I think WWE would be smart enough to know that, and I think they would do it 6 months in or 7 months in. I think WWE would be smart enough to do it like that.
Sticking to the question, it's not so much if they should, it's if they will. And knowing WWE in the way that they've been, they won't. The Rock John Cena thing where we saw that match build up for over a year, that's pretty rare. I don't feel we're going to see a lot more to do with that, ever again. I don't think that's going to be a common occurrence, or really, I think that's going to be more or less a super, super rare occurrence when something like that happens. So as for the Money in the Bank briefcase being held for 365 days or more, I do not feel that WWE is going to let that happen. It would be intriguing, yes. Is it going to happen? Probably not.
No.
We're going to move on to question number 2. So Enzo Amore this Sunday at SummerSlam is going to be in a Shark Tank over the Big Cass versus Big Show matchup. Now, a lot of people have speculated that this is mainly because of his backstage heat that he has had with other superstars. Obviously, we've talked about it just a little bit on the show, about his reputation in the back with the other WWE talent. And there has been rumors that because of that factor and the fact that he's actually in real life scared of heights, this is kind of a punishment instead of firing Enzo Amore because of his merchandise sales are through the roof, that this would be a better scenario to kind of put him in an uncomfortable situation in a match in something that he obviously would not like as more of a punishment. So my question is, do you think this is a part of a storyline, as you would expect it to be? Or do you think that this is actually kind of, kayfabe, little real life coming in and taking over?
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at on that, because he's really, it seems like from everything that I've read and seen, he's really ticked off a lot of people in the back. He is like the least, from reading what I've seen online, he's like the least liked person in the backstage. I could see that where, yes, his merchandise sales are, he's killing it. I see all these young kids wearing the Enzo hair and wearing the shirts and all that stuff. I think that's his saving grace, but this is no doubt in my mind. I think it's a punishment. Hopefully he gets it together. I don't know if you guys heard this outlandish story, but I was reading online that I think he brought a stripper to the backstage. I read somewhere.
I could believe that.
Maybe that's just. He's still a newer wrestler in the business. I think he needs to kind of scale it back, because he's not Roman Reigns. He's not the big dog in the locker room. He needs to scale things back. And when you tick off the big dog, he is considered the one of the leaders back there, since he is one of the big names and he's also a veteran. That does not bode well, because you guys know how much WWE loves Roman Reigns. So if Roman Reigns is not too happy, WWE is not too happy.
Yeah, I just feel it's not like WWE though to air its dirty laundry out in public like that, and actually
that's the best part though. You don't know, we don't know that, but one would think that's where they're going without actually saying it, because if it is true that he is indeed afraid of heights and everything, that is WWE's way of saying, bad Enzo. Now this is your punishment. Learn from it, or you're gone.
Yes.
That's the way I look at it. WWE's not going to come out and say, yeah, we're going to put him in a shark cage because we know he's afraid of heights. Because he's not, he pissed off Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns kicked him off the bus. They're not going to come out and say that. I mean, we read these things online and stuff, but one would put the pieces together. One would assume that's how they're doing it in an indirect way, I guess is the best way to say it. What do you think? What do you think on this, Paul?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of twofold. I think it's a I get where Jarod's coming from, that they wouldn't want to air their dirty laundry, but that's the beautiful thing, because it's upon interpretation. That's the beautiful thing about sports, that it could be LeBron James tweeting out a cryptic message on Twitter, or it could be anything across sports, and then they don't say anything else, but you just have to interpret it based on whatever you want to say, and that's how stories are written, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's, first off, you get the whole Big Show Cass rivalry thing, and then you still include Enzo. Enzo is really, at the end of the day, like a talking parrot. So you're just throwing a parrot, and more so a parrot bird cage above, so you still get the Enzo effect in the match. So I think it just kind of works out for all parties, and I do think it may be a little bit of WWE saying, sticking it to Enzo because they can do whatever they want.
So now moving on to the third question of the week. So for 5 straight years, SummerSlam was at Staples Center in Las Vegas, and now it is official next year. For the 4th straight year, SummerSlam will be at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. That will make 9 years, 2 venues. My question is, are you a fan of this SummerSlam being in one location, or does it need to be on the road like all the other pay-per-views? I'm going to send my answer out there. Yes. I like Barclays Center. I like Staples Center. I don't think it needs to go to Indianapolis. I don't think it needs to be lowered like another pay-per-view and sent to, Tupelo, Mississippi, or Billings, Montana, or anything like that. It could still stay in major marquee cities. It could still be only Chicago, only New York, only Miami, only LA. But to actually have it physically in the same building year in and year out, I'm not a fan of that.
You're not a fan, Jarod?
I am not a fan.
Okay, here we go. Jarod, this time you're just wrong, man. Because I have the same feeling about this as I feel about the NFL draft or Radio City Music Hall. I think there's a certain prestige to having it in the same place over and over again. Again, we talked about it with the expectation. I should have known that this was your answer. Earlier, you're like, let's mix it up with Money in the Bank. Let's mix it up here. Let's go here, here, here. I should have known that was your answer, Jarod. But yes, I think that there is a certain je ne sais quoi. I don't think it has to be like the others. I know you said that you could kind of temper it where you don't have to send it to Toledo and you could send it to big cities. But I feel like it's kind of cool that you can have it in the same place. And again, it's talking about that expectation. I really like that SummerSlam is doing this. Keep it up.
Paul, I'm with you. Jarod's in the minority on this. I like it because it gives you that luster, the je ne sais quoi, as Paul says. I like that because then you can use it as a historical thing too. Like, we can flash back on the WWE Network. The first time we were in New York City, this is what happened on SummerSlam. I think
it makes it harder to verify which SummerSlam I'm watching, because there was like SummerSlam for 5 straight years at Staples Center. So when I go back,
I don't think it is, because
wait, I forget which one this is again, because they're here every year and it's like feels like the same show.
Jarod, but here's the thing, and you know this is, and Paul, you'll know this in just a second. Jarod knows, he'll know by the background of the, he'll look at the flooring or whatever, with the stage setup. You know what WrestleMania it is. You know what pay-per-view it is.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing.
I know the back lot of how the press boxes are tiered at Staples Center.
Don't give me that.
Or Madison Square Garden.
Bullshit.
Yeah, Paul, I'm calling bullshit on Jarod on this one. Because if it's in the same spot, but they change the graphics of the the SummerSlam logo for the year, you're going to see it right away.
To be honest with you, they don't change the summer. They haven't changed. If 1992 through 2002, I can tell you all the SummerSlams and which one is which. But after, let's say, like 2005 to now, with a lot of the same SummerSlam graphics, especially.
Jarod,
They've kind of changed it up the last
let's
few years, but there was a year when they were in LA. I mean, it was like the same graphic for like 3 years in a row. And I want to say it's the same matches. It was like Triple H versus Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. Like, it was like, felt like the same.
I think it just has a nice aura.
Jarod, no one is questioning your knowledge. I know you could tell me the blood type of the third